transfer this live over to YouTube if it don't work. But okay. He downloading the live from TikTok, but if I have to, I'll do it. I ain't tripping. Peace to everybody coming in. Repost this live, share this live, because what we're about to discuss is a timeline of events that nobody is talking about. Nobody is talking about, y'all. Nobody is connecting these things, what America's doing, back to Africa, and I'm about to connect the dots for y'all. Nobody is connecting anything that's going on in America to Ethiopia specifically. Africa as a whole, but we're going to really focus in on Ethiopia and how important Ethiopia is to the African diaspora, the people that are scattered all over the world. Y'all gonna understand what really happened today. We're gonna y'all should understand. So I'm about to show you a timeline that solves the biggest mystery in world history. And don't world history. We live in a world that is built on lies. World history. His story. Their world is built off of their stories. Lies, okay? And millions of African people ended up in America and scattered all over the world because of this, okay? I'm looking at them because I'm reading off my notes. I don't want to miss nothing. So we've been taught about slavery, that, you know, Africans were tricked and captured and sold. Slavery happened. It did happen, but not quite like, you know, we was told it happened. The truth is a whole lot deeper, older, and far more organized than what we've been told. Okay, this is about to connect the dots, and it all began with the Papa Bulls. It all started with the Papa Bulls. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all the dates and everything, but take these dates with a grain of salt, especially the ones that say AD, BC, and all this stuff about Jesus and before Jesus Christ. Now, take those dates with a grain of salt, okay? Because once I reveal this timeline, you're gonna understand why. It says in the Bible that they thought to change dates in time so that you wouldn't connect these dots, okay? And all of this started because I watched this freaking movie. So, and at the end of this, we're going to tie it all together, okay? So let's start with the foundation of the authority fraud, okay? 1452 to 1493, the Papal Bulls. Between 1452 and 1493, the Catholic Church issued a series of documents called Papal Bulls, okay? These papers gave European kings the right to invade nations, take land, enslave Christians, and declare entire populations less than human. And let's not get it twisted. Africa was their main target, okay? These laws were not symbolic. The Papal Bulls were not symbolic. The Papal Bulls were not symbolic. They were laws, okay? They were the foundation of international law for Europe. From these documents came the slave trade, colonization, the doctrine of discovery, the idea that Europeans could own land they didn't come from, and the power to redefine who counts as chosen, Christians, or even human. Okay, these are documents that they just thought up and wrote it out and put it out there and said, we're going to rule the world because we said so. Okay, so the papacy plus European royal families created the original world domination system. Okay, that's what this movie is about, if y'all didn't know. They created the original world domination system. Most people think colonization was random. It wasn't random. It wasn't random at all. I gotta make sure my all my streams work. So, for a second, again, that's why. It was planned, legalized, coordinated, and spiritually justified through a series of papal decrees known as papal bulls issued by the Catholic Church. Okay, it was planned. Yes, it was planned. It was very strategic. They as strategic as them putting these damn movies out. Every single year that they put this movie out, they came out with something. I'm gonna take some guess at the end. I'm gonna take guess at the end, y'all. But I'm gonna get this out, and I got a lot to get out. It's a. They told y'all 400 years, but it wasn't no damn 400 years. It was more like, and it's not a coincidence that they've been feeding us this 2,000-year-old story. That's because they knew the timeline and we didn't. They always knew that it would be about 200 to 250 years. We didn't know because why? They put us in the game and tricked us. They tricked us with entertainment. Let me keep going. I want to get sidetracked. The document was symbolic. They were international law for Europe. This is what allowed them to lay hands on Africa, the Americas, and even the Middle East. So we don't got to be fighting amongst each other about who was here first and who was there first. We finna squash all that. And we're going to squash the argument about who's Israel, who's Israelites, who this, who that, who all this, who's the Moors, who are the house of Israel. We're finna squash all of it today. Because it all points back to one people. And y'all don't want to accept it, but it's Ethiopia. Let's continue. So, what did the papal bulls actually do? And I've went over this in other videos, but just for the sake of the live, we're going to tell y'all what the papal bulls did and what they were. In 1452, they released the Dom Diverse. That's the papal bull. It gave Portugal permission to enslave Africans forever. Forever. This is the legal birth of the transatlantic slave system. Yeah. A document, an instrument. They still use instruments in the court of law today. Okay. 1455, Romanus Pontifex came out, gave Portugal exclusive rights over Africa. This is how ownership of Africa, this was how the ownership of African coast began with the 1455, Romanus Pontifex. And then came Interior Catera, 1493. This gave Spain the Americas. They set this shit up so good, y'all, to where they can have all of the good pieces on the chessboard. I don't really play chess, but I don't know. Is that how they go? This is how the New World colonization began legally. This is it. This is how they did it. The doctrine of discovery became international law. It said if Christians arrived somewhere first, they owned it. People already living there do not count. Do y'all see why we got it? Do y'all see why there's a judgment against the Roman Catholic Church? If you don't, by the end of this, you will. So, yes, the Catholic Church and the royal families built the world system before Israel even came to mind in 1948. It's like they were, I'm not even going to go there. And guess what? Italy was part of this system. Yes, Italy. When I was a little girl, y'all, I used to dream about going to Italy, to France. It was like a dream of mine to go to Paris. I don't want to go no more. This shit say that I don't even want to go over there anymore. So Italy, via the Vatican and the Papal Bulls, was the source of papal decrees. Royal families in Spain, Portugal, Britain, and France, all others worked with the Vatican. Italy invaded Ethiopia twice, 1896 and 1935, trying to take it. The Vatican blessed Mussolini's invasion of Ethiopia. Ethiopia was one of the last ancient Israelite connected nations that resisted European power. Thanks, man. You mad. You fight. They kept coming for Ethiopia, y'all. That was mad. So Europe saw Ethiopia as a threat to their global and spiritual and political plans. Ethiopia was the threat. Yeah, hello, Ethiopia. So Italy plus the papacy plus the royal houses were deeply involved in the scheme to take down the Ethiopian empire. They mapped out the world before anyone else knew what was even happening. Now, here's the part that nobody else sees. By the time the modern state of Israel was created in 1948, the world system built by the Papal Bulls was already in place. So this meant they controlled who counts as Jews, who counts as chosen, who has land rights, who has sovereignty, who has recognition, who's ignored, who is lost tribes and who's not, who's accepted and who's not, who's rejected and who's not. This was all determined by centuries old Catholic and European decrees and royal treaties, y'all. Royal treaties amongst friends. Okay? So when the Beta Israel, and if y'all don't know who Beta Israel is, that's Ethiopia. Beta. We all know what beta means because we're hopping on these apps and trying out the apps because they're the first of their kind. Beta. Beta Israel is Ethiopia. The CIA released documents stating this. And they released those documents either in 2012 or 2007. So you can go find that. Beta Israel is Ethiopia. That says a whole lot, y'all. We can kind of squash this whole argument about the biblical story and where it came from. Because Ethiopians are Beta Israel. We can squash that. When Africa was colonized, it wasn't personal, it was policy. When the diaspora descendants ended up in America, the Caribbean and Brazil and Jamaica, etc., it wasn't random. It was programmed by decrees. I'm going to take guess at the end. So it was programmed by decrees. The whole world was already carved up like a chessboard by the time the 1948 came. Okay, now let's take a clear historical breakdown look of when the Europeans began practicing Christianity and Judaism and any other related traditions, like, that's connected to the Bible. Broken down so you can see exactly the moment when Europe entered this spiritual lineage, when they started practicing these things, okay? Christianity did not originate in Europe. Obviously, we've already got the facts that Ethiopia is Beta Israel. So it didn't begin in Europe. It was introduced centuries later. Now, this is the part where I was saying the dates. Take these dates with a grain of salt, y'all. I don't know. I'm starting to think AD means after discovery, after they discovered somebody else's traditions, and then they stole it and re-ripped. So the first Europeans to practice Christianity were the Romans, but only after 300 AD. So key dates, 30 to 70 AD, Christianity is only an African and Middle Eastern movement. Judea, Ethiopia, Egypt, Syria, and North Africa were the only people in the whole entire planet, if y'all want to go there, practicing Christianity. That's where it originated, okay? So, circa 50 to 200 AD, Christianity began spreading small pockets into Greece and Rome, but it is illegal and it is persecuted, right? So they persecuted people for practicing Christianity, but then they found these people and they saw something that they could use as a weapon. And all of a sudden they wanted to practice Christianity. That sounds about right. So 313 AD, it says that Emperor Constantine makes Christianity legal in the Roman Empire. I'm taking that with a grain of salt. I don't even know if this people really is real. Constantine and all, I don't even know if that's real. So I'm taking it with a grain of salt, but I'm giving y'all this just to show y'all that they didn't practice Christianity first. They didn't find this. They found them. They found people that were already doing this, and then they took it and used it as a weapon. So this is when Europeans began practicing and edited politicalized versions of Christianity. 325 AD, this was the Council of Nicaea. Christianity becomes centralized and rewritten under Roman authority. 380 AD, Emperor Theodosius declares Christianity the official state religion of Rome. From this point forward, Europeans practiced Christianity as their own. Now, in short, Europeans did not practice Christianity until after they discovered Ethiopian people. Okay. When did Europeans start practicing Judaism? Let's see. Judaism was not originated in Europe. It originated with the ancient Israelites in Africa and the Levant. Okay, here's the key timeline. Before 600 AD, almost no Europeans practiced Judaism, right? Judaism is African and Middle Eastern for thousands of years. 7th to 10th century, small Jewish communities start forming in Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, Germany. Damn, listen to the list. Don't that sound like all of our oppressors? Mostly due to migration, not indigenous European origin. In the 8th century, the Khazar conversion. This is most important. A large Turkic Khazar empire located near modern Russia and Ukraine converts to Judaism around 740 AD. This event explains the ancestry of most modern European Jews, Ashkenazi, and some Sephardi groups. Europeans did not practice Judaism until 700 to 900 AD, 2,000 plus years after the original Israelites. That's why they gave God a lie. When did Europeans start practicing Hebrew identity? This is a different question. And this is where identity replacement begins. Europeans began claiming Israelite identity only after 1500 AD when the Vatican authorized itself as God's representative on earth. Man, Christian doctrine is used to claim spiritual Israel. This is when colonial powers claim biblical authority to seize land via the doctrine of discovery. This is racialized Judaism becoming European through the Khazar lineage. 1948 completes the geopolitical identity transfer. That's exactly what it was, via Operation Moses. So here is the clean, irrefutable truth. We cannot deny this. Christianity reached Europe in 300 AD. Judaism reached Europe around 700 to 900 AD. Now take those dates with a grain of salt because we're going to get into the timeline when they saw a way into Ethiopia. Neither religion originated in Europe, and both religions were appropriated, reinterpreted, and used for power. That's why. Why does all of this matter? Well, because Europe entered Christianity late. They entered Judaism even later. They claimed Hebrew identity only after colonization, and they rewrote the story to place themselves at the center. They weaponized religion to justify global domination. Come up out of here. Y'all better come up out them religious groups. This is the root of Papa Bulls, the doctrine of discovery, colonialism, colonialism, the creation of 1948, the erasure of Beta Israel, and the identity theft back into modern geopolitics. And this is why the timeline is so powerful. Okay, so I just gave y'all the beginning to show y'all they didn't practice these things. They didn't even know about these things until they laid eyes on African people, specifically Ethiopia. Now, 1776. Let me see something. I was trying to see if I can get back on. Okay. Now, this is the timeline that I'm talking about from 1776 all the way up until now, y'all. And I am live on both. I'm sorry. I can't look at both screens at the same time. But so 1776, the Great Switch, birth of the Western Administrative Empire. 1776, U.S. founding, replacement sovereignty installed. A new political religious authority structure was formed. It creates the world's first large-scale paper-based identity system, replacing lineage identity, spiritual sovereignty, and ancestral authority. This was the birth of corporate personhood. This is when they connected you to the system by papers. You know, this was them creating their system so they could connect you to the game. So this was the trust law expansion. This was the hidden custodial claims over bodies and labor. In 1776, birthed the Masonic Illuminatus alignment. Elite networks embodied the idea that authority comes from administrative law and not God or ancestors. The beginning of jurisdiction inversion happened. Also, what's going on in Ethiopia in 1776 was internal destabilization. They were weakening from within. So that was an open door for future European interference. This became the pressure point that was used in the 1800s. Now, Ethiopia was the last standing kingdom. Let's drill that in your head. Ethiopia was the last standing kingdom. So, Brother Man said, encourage more viewers to share. Y'all share the live. Repost the live. You can repost the live. I don't think y'all understand how important this is, especially for Black people. So if you and you are of the African American community, Jamaican community, you are melanated in Britain, you live in the UK. If you are melanated and you live anywhere in the world, this is very important for you to understand, because a lot of people have been confused for their whole life. Your mama couldn't even tell you where they was from. Your grandparents, and it wasn't that far back, because I looked into my grandparents and where they came from. And if you really think about it, my grandfather's mother, so that's my great grandmother, was a cotton picker. So that means she was a slave. So when my grandfather was a child, it's a possibility that, come on, y'all, they knew certain things, but certain things were hidden from them. So my grandfather's mother probably came over here as a child. That's not that far back. That ain't no damn 400 years ago. And you can trace that. If you know where they started it, they have information on the slave routes coming into those areas. So they know where these people came from. Now, can they tell you who you was related to? And no, because you got to think, they were selling us. We were a product. They were only keeping track of inventory, so they wasn't keeping track of who was related to who. They was only keeping track of inventory. But you can go back as far as your great grandparents to find out which slave route they came off of. So this is very important. This timeline is very important to our people. It shows us the who, the where, the what, and why they did this. They want us to think that we just came from slavery. No, we came from an empire. Wars happen because one empire wants to rule another empire. And when that war is over, one of those empires has won, and then they take those people from that other empire. That's one way. This particular timeline shows y'all that our people were tricked. They were tricked. They thought they were seeking help from these people. And I'm about to show y'all, because Ethiopia was the last standing kingdom. While the rest of Africa was being divided like a chessboard, Ethiopia stood strong, untouched. It was the last standing kingdom. Everybody else in Africa, this connects to the biblical story that our ancestors failed because they went against God. And this connects to the whole timeline of, we were in America first. Okay, well, this shows you that the people were in Africa. Then they started to go against each other because they wanted to study God. Some of the brothers wanted to study God. So they went out and they ventured out. And they were everywhere, including America, running shit. And I'm just pointing out the fact. So all of the arguing in amongst our community is done on purpose. They used our beliefs against us, and then they used our beliefs against us. And we still fighting over the same thing. Today, it's about to be in 2026. We still fighting over the same thing. We still arguing about religion. We still arguing about this. So this gonna shut it down. This should shut it down. Nobody should be. I ain't saying everybody in the world gonna see this video, but damn, spread it, and they might. We are the word of mouth is the best advertisement for a reason. All we gotta do is stick together. Okay, back to it. They held ancient Israelite traditions. We're talking about Ethiopians. Ethiopians held ancient Israelite traditions. Ethiopians held ancient covenant identity. Ethiopians held the memory of Jerusalem. They held the priesthood, and they held the original ways before Christianity was branded by Europe. Ethiopia was the last holdout against the system created by the Papal Bulls. What? So the Papal Bulls came out, Ethiopia stood their ground. Everybody else, I guess, just folded. Basically putting their people on the chopping block. That's why Europe feared it. They feared Ethiopia. That's why Italy tried to invade Ethiopia twice. That's why Ethiopia became a spiritual target. Now, moving on to the 1800s. This is when the engineering of Ethiopia's decline happened. From 1800s to 1850, European powers identified Ethiopia as the key to all of their games. Documents and diplomatic notes show Ethiopia is seen as the last unconquered biblical kingdom. Italy Rome, the royal family, the Vatican, the Holy See, the popes, the Western world, they all saw Ethiopia as the last unconquered biblical kingdom. The Solomonic line represents a threat to papacy supremacy. It represented a threat to papacy supremacy. The plan emerges to isolate. They wanted to weaken. They wanted to infiltrate, extract religious artifacts, and distort identity. That was their plan. So, in 1862, Beta Israel reaches out for help. They reached out for help. Now, here's where the truth hits his story, his lies. Around the 1860s, the Beta Israel, Ethiopians, the ancient Israelites of Ethiopia, wrote a letter to Jerusalem. They wanted help. But here's the secret. They thought they were writing to family. They thought that the people that left their land, that went spread it out, were still running shit. So when they wrote out for help, they thought they were writing a letter to their brothers. They thought Jerusalem was still the spiritual home of their brothers. They had no idea the land had changed hands. They had no idea the priesthood had been replaced. They had no idea the spiritual authority was no longer there. They had no idea European powers had already seized control over the region through centuries of papal decrees. They were tricked. They reached out for help and they asked the wrong people. They said, "We have no prophet. There is confusion among us. Tell us what will happen in the coming days." This is a cry for guidance, but instead of finding family, they walked into a global system that had been built to absorb, erase, and redefine their identity. So, this is the English translation of that letter. Beta Israel letter to Jerusalem, mid-1800s. Peace be upon you, our brothers, the Hebrews, the great priests in Jerusalem, the holy city. This letter comes to you with blessing and peace. We write to you because the time has already come for us to return to you, to the Holy Land and the holy city of Jerusalem. You ask us, has the time truly come? We answer you, yes, the time has truly come. But we are here without a prophet, without a priest, and without a judge. And we are a people in confusion. Therefore, we write to you so that you may tell us what will happen in these coming days, what events are approaching, what will befall us. For great confusion has arisen among our people, and many say, you must separate yourselves from us and go to our land, to Jerusalem. Let us and go to the land of our fathers. So we ask you, our brothers, beloved, for the sake of God, what should we do? Should we come to you, to the land of Israel, to offer sacrifices to Lord God with you, our brothers? Or should we remain where we are? We beg you to send us an answer to this honorable and glorious letter. For the love that binds us as brothers in the eyes of God. Peace to you, 1,000 times peace. Peace upon you in the Torah. This letter is sent to you by Abba Saga, or Shraga Abba, son of Nisai, son of Daniel, in the year 7354 of the creation according to our counting. Now, y'all know Ethiopia has they in a whole nother year than we are. So you understand the text of the letter. I also want to read the context. This is one of the earliest known letters from Ethiopian Jews, Beta Israel, to Jerusalem in the 1800s. They believed the time to return to Zion was coming. They felt spiritually leaderless, without a prophet, without a priest. They asked Jerusalem's rabbis for guidance. Should we come to the land of Israel now? What comes next? The Jerusalem community reportedly responded warmly, This was the header before the letter. It says below is the text of the letter in the Hebrew version. And then it says letters or words that were mistaken or unnecessarily in the manuscript appear underlined or, okay, that's not important. So it states that the copyist likely did not know the Ethiopian language, and the error shown he was working with an Arabic-based text while attempting to preserve the foreign appearance of the Ethiopian script. So it's just saying that some of the words that were translated, just like it, y'all think when they translate stuff, they might put one word that has more than one meaning or something like that. So the editor's analysis, it appears that the Hebrew text is not the original, but a draft. So it looks like the original language that this letter was written in was Ge'ez. It seems that the Hebrew version appears in the Furtvak archive is not a direct translation of the Ethiopian original, but resembles a draft or working copy. This letter, what I did was I took the original letter and I translated it with an app. So I didn't use Hughes. This letter was written in the land of Sheba. That's what it says. This letter was written in the land of Sheba. This is how the editor introduces the first line. So Beta Israel reached out for help from their oppressors, thinking that they were reaching out for help from their brothers. That's what it. So by the time Beta Israel wrote this letter around the 1860s, and it says 1862, the land of Israel, Jerusalem, was politically controlled by empire. And when I say empire, like I said on the video that I did about Carnival Cruise Line, empire in the Western language only means white empire. Their empire. They're not counting anybody else. Catholic monarchs and European powers control global trade. Identity and tribal lines have already been altered by law. Ethiopia was isolated and pressured. Africa's people were already defined as conquerable because all the other, they had already been conquered. The only one still standing was Ethiopia. European nations had legal permission to decide who was Jewish, who was Christian, who was human, and who was sovereign. This is why the whole Beta Israel sincerity made them vulnerable. This made them vulnerable and thought they were writing to family, y'all. This is disturbing, but they were writing into a system that was dominated by empire, not covenant. So what the letter is simply saying is, we believe the time of return to Zion has come. They felt prophecy was being fulfilled and the divine timing, the true time had arrived. We are spiritually lost and confused here. They tell Jerusalem leadership, we have no prophet, we have no priest, we have no judge. Our people are confused. This shows deep crisis. People in our community are arguing and dividing. They wrote, there is great confusion among us. Many are saying, go to your land, Jerusalem, and leave us. This means some Ethiopian Jews believe they should leave immediately for Jerusalem. Others believe they should stay. They cause division and fear. And what do they use right now? Fear, division, and fear. So it's there. Tell us what we should do. Should we come to Jerusalem? The central question of the letter. Should we come to you to offer sacrifices with you in the Holy Land, or should we remain here? They are asking Jerusalem to guide them. Please send us a clear answer. They begged. Send us a good and glorious answer because of the love between us as brothers before God. They literally thought they were writing to their own people, y'all. The tone of the letter is humble, desperate, prophetic, full of longing, emotional, and messianic. Okay? It is not political at all. This is a spiritual letter. What this letter means spiritually and historically? Well, Ethiopian Jews believed the prophesied time of return, Allah, came in the 1800s, before the modern Jews returned to Israel. before Zionism, before the state of Israel, before Beta Israel believed God is calling us home now. This is major. They saw Jerusalem as their religious authority. They viewed Jerusalem's Jews as the great priests, the true Hebrews. They were seeking reconnection after centuries of isolation. They were in a spiritual crisis. They lacked leadership, ritual authority, clarity, unity. This letter was a cry for help. They were crying out for help because they feared the collapse of their community. They clearly say, confusion has come among us. This is historically connected to missionary pressure, war in Ethiopia, famine, identity crisis, and external threats. They saw themselves as part of the larger house of Israel. They wanted to be spiritually reunited with the global Jewish world. This letter connects Ethiopia, Jerusalem, and the prophetic timeline. It proves Ethiopia was aware of prophetic cycles. They believed a divine timeline was going to unfold, and they saw that 7354, their calendar year, had spiritual significance. So this ties into this whole timeline. Now, the real reason Africans came to America. This is the part nobody knows. Many African groups, especially those connected to ancient Israelite lineage, believed they were going to see their brothers. They believed they were going to people who carried the same covenant, the same God, the same heritage. And this does not mean that the slave trade didn't happen. Do not get it twisted. There was a lot going on at the same time. We got to understand that there was a lot going on at the same time. Just like right now, it's a lot going on at the same time. They want you to think that things are separate in pockets and happen, and it don't have nothing to do with each other, but it does. It was a lot going on at the same time, but it all has something to do with each other. Okay. This just proves that not everybody came over here as slaves. That's all it proves. Everybody wasn't no damn slave. So now they might have been turned into a slave or taken advantage of. So, because before the world was written, Jerusalem was not a European concept. Israel was not a European state. Christianity was African and Middle Eastern, not Western. The covenant was still connected to the east of Africa. And this is why they don't talk about the East African slave trade. The covenant was still connected to the east of Africa. They didn't know the Papuans had changed all identities global. They had no idea. They didn't know that Europe had taken over the spiritual geography. They didn't know that Jerusalem on the map was no longer the Jerusalem in their hearts. Well, you know, it's two Jerusalem. One is spiritual and one is on the map. Well, what do you know? So yes, they walked into a trap looking for family, not tricked, not sold, not naive. They trusted the wrong people. And here, finally, 1868, the Siege of Magdala was a campaign ran by the British. Most important event of the 1800s. Britain invades Ethiopia. They steal relics, they steal crowns, they steal tablets, they steal manuscripts, they steal genealogies. These items remain the basis of Western biblical scholarship right now to today, right? This was the international severing of Ethiopia's divine record. They took the books and translated them and then let you read it and interpret it and believe whatever the hell you wanted to believe. Peace, peace. I hope y'all are understanding What's going on? So by the 1900s, they had already started to, by the 1900s, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. That was the game. They had started planning all of this when they laid eyes on these people with the Papal Bulls. And then by 1776, when they saw a way in, when they saw that Ethiopia, the last biblical kingdom standing, they saw that these people were fighting amongst each other. There was division. That was their way in. So what did they do? They started creating the Federal Reserve. All that happened in 1913. The Titanic sank in 1912. I did a video on that too. So 1900s to 1948 was the era of identity replacement. 1930s, Haile Selassie rises. Restoration of a visible Solomonic ruler. Yes, Solomonic, like biblical ruler. Haile Selassie sat on the throne of David in Ethiopia. I don't know why y'all trying to ignore that. Or I don't even think y'all trying to ignore it. I think y'all are trying to put him in the Christ seat. But that's not his purpose. That wasn't what he was supposed to do. God didn't choose him to be the one that would save Ethiopia, obviously. Because what Ethiopia is still colonized. He didn't save them. Global powers see this as dangerous. Prophetic implications trigger an intensification of Western intervention. Okay? So Haile Selassie being in that seat sitting on David's throne, they saw this as dangerous. Oh my, we have another Solomonic ruler sitting on the throne of David. He's going to wake his people up. We will never succeed now. They saw this as dangerous. 1935 to 1941, Italy invades Ethiopia, backed quietly by Western powers. They attempt to destroy the lineage authority. Gas, chemical warfare is used, and these war crimes were ignored by the League of Nations. They ignored the crimes. So then we have 1948, the creation of the State of Israel. This is critical. A man-made geopolitical entity created while the actual House of Israel was displaced, scattered, and unrecognized. Western powers created a replacement identity to control prophecy. They had to control the story. They had to control the narrative because they knew they were twisting it. They were going to use this as a weapon, so they had to. Yeah, this was so strategic and planned. No, he didn't save it. He didn't. He sure didn't. By 1970s to the 1980s, the system goes digital. 1974 was the fall of Haile Selassie. Removal of the last internationally recognized Solomonic monarch marks the final suppression phase of Ethiopia's spiritual identity. In 1982, the global digital infrastructure shifts. That's when the first Tron movie came out, 1982. This year begins the architecture that we now live under. First major computer network linking governments, digital tracking of population, early version of jurisdiction without borders, and the world banking system begins synchronization. The first year that Tron came out, 1982. If you don't know what the movie Tron was about, in the first movie, what's the name? Kevin Flint is the star of the movie, right? In the first one, he goes into the digital world. This is the birth of the modern beast system grid. In the movie, it's called the grid. I ain't got. You know what? The key, this stuff just connect. It just connect. And the movie is called The Grid. Also, this is the never mind. I ain't gonna even. 1984, Operation Moses. Just 2 years after all of this happens, it's 2 years after the global digital infrastructure shift. The year that the first movie of Tron came out, about somebody going into a digital world called a grid. And remember, that's the year that's the birth of the modern beast system grid. And then in 1984, just 2 years later, Operation Moses was a secret extraction of Beta Israel from Ethiopia. Not simply a rescue, it was a strategic relocation for demographic engineering, intelligence purposes, and biblical narrative control. This begins the weaponization of identity narratives. Late 1980s, Beta Israel internal programs. Documentation emerges that Western powers used Ethiopian Jews as cultural keys, narrative shields, and geopolitical leverage. This further suppresses the true Solomonic Israel link. Do y'all see what was going on? Y'all see the so 2000s to 2010, the final lock-in. 2000 to 2009, UNESCO, UNESCO, and Unidroit, UNIDROIT. If you don't know what that is, Unidroit, I don't know what the other one is, but I know Unidroit it's in that little circle with the Holy See and the Vatican. It's all in that little same area where that's where it's located. And this is the main building for the UCC1 documents. Matter of fact, I'm just going to tell y'all exactly what it is. Because I don't misquote it. I'm going to say the wrong thing. Give me 1 second. Because y'all be acting like y'all don't understand what we talking about. But it's just mysteriously connecting back to the people that we saying we're judging. Go to the website, yajujudah.com. Make sure you sign a petition to judge the Roman Catholic Church. You got a reason to now, if you ain't had one before. I'm going to tell y'all. This is I've been waiting for this my whole life because I never understood the whole slavery thing. I never understood that. Okay. I'm sorry. I went to the people website. Okay, Unidroit, International Institute for the Unification of Private Law, is an independent intergovernmental organization based in Rome that modernized and harmonized private and commercial law between nations, drafting conventions, model law, and principles like the Unidroit principles to create uniform rules for international trade and transaction. It was established in 1926. It serves as a crucial body for facilitating cross-border commerce by developing soft law instruments. Remember I told y'all the Papal Bull was an instrument that guide legislatures and arbitral tribunals complementing hard law treaties via UCC1s. And this is why they have UCC1s claiming you. Sorry, I got a call. This is why they have UCC1s claiming you as property. And this is how they did it, because nobody stopped them. Y'all, this is the generation of Emmanuel. God is with us. We can stop them. Like, for real. This is tangible. Reaching up to this guy or looking up to this guy, waiting on somebody to crack the sky is not tangible. That's not reachable. That's not realistic. This is realistic. These things in this timeline is realistic. This we can see, we can understand, and we can connect to real life. The stories that they told, didn't your mama tell you stop telling stories? She told you stop lying. Didn't she say, don't tell a story, don't tell stories? She was telling you to stop lying. The stories that they told, the lies that they told, they're not realistic. They are far-fetched. And this is why you have so many people giving up, and not because they don't understand, they don't believe in God. That was the whole plan. These people didn't have a God. They didn't believe in no God until I don't even think they believe in God now. They found people that believed in a higher power. They called these people superstitious. There's a book called Abyssinia and Its People, and it's people that went over there to study other people, and then they came back and wrote about them. They called them superstitious. They were intrigued with Ethiopian people. They wanted to understand these people. And if you look at it today, how they come across people, and we make jokes about it, we make memes about it, how they come across tribes, people that are on their own island. They don't know nothing about nothing going on nowhere else in the world. And these people go as missionaries. Remember, Tewedros said it. First they send missionaries. Then they send the battalions. He said, send the battalions first. Don't send no damn missionaries. And that's why he had the missionaries held in captive. Because he knew the missionaries were just distractions. They didn't believe what they came in there telling them people. They had one purpose: distraction. Distract them, to get them to believe what they were saying about the whole Jesus story. They took these people's beliefs, twisted it, and came back and sold it to them. Hold on, I gotta put this down. Puzzle together. Yep. So the Unidroid that's just another entity they created to back all of their other crimes against humanity. That's exactly what it is, crimes against humanity. Now, let me go back to my notes. So the Unidroid and the UNESCO strengthen cultural property law. These are used to prevent Ethiopia from reclaiming stolen artifacts. They were created and used to legalize Western possession. So they like, oh, okay, we took this stuff and we're going to put it in our museums, and then we're going to create these entities to protect what we stole so that you can't come and claim it, okay? Including your identity. Oh my God, these people are crazy. This is psycho. This is like this is officially the world's biggest, and it's not a coincidence that they own the whole identity theft entities. They're the biggest identity thieves. This is the biggest identity theft in world history. So they're using the UNESCO and the Unidroid to create heritage custodianship, which overrides indigenous ownership. And this is also used to block ancestral lineage claims. So These are all facts. Facts. By 2000, they created the U.S. Federal Consolidation Event. Key developments, did I say in the beginning in 1776? Because I think I forgot to mention that was the independence of the United States of America. Did I mention that? I don't think I mentioned it. When in 1776, when I began this timeline, I forgot to mention that while Ethiopia was experiencing, what did it say exactly? They were experiencing separation or something with factions. Y'all remember hearing that on one of these movies? I want to say it's the factions. Where did I hear that at? Something about factions. Hunger Games, I think. We literally in the Hunger Games. Oh my God. But yeah, in 1776, that was the same time the United States had formed their independence in July. A lot of stuff happened in July and December. A lot of stuff happened July and December. If they do something in July, it's like December, they finalize it. Or they do something in December and then finalize it in July. This is, and I'm gonna have to look that up and make a timeline of events that happened in July and December, because the first thing that come to mind was Emperor Menelik died in 1913. I think it's 1913. 1914, July. Menelik died in December of 1913. July of 1914, World War I happened, right? Then this whole December, July. Something happened July, something happened in July, something happened in December. So 2010, let's move on. The U.S. Federal, I just wanted to say that about 1776 because I wasn't sure if I mentioned it or not. The U.S. Federal Consolidation Event. This is key. Major restructuring of DHS, DOJ, and intelligence agencies. This was the implementation of large-scale biometric digital ID systems. In this movie, their digital ID system, they have to have it at all times when they're in the game. That's what they're trying to do to us, y'all. They're trying to connect us to the grid, literally. When the Operation Moses happened, they were trying to power the grid. Workers, energy. We're the energy that powers the grid. If y'all didn't understand that by now, we are the energy that powers their beast system grid. So 2010, the second Tron movie comes out in 2010, y'all. So let me, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but 2010, private tech companies gain government level surveillance powers. What else happened in 2010? The beginning of integrated civilian behavior monitoring. This solidified the 1982 infrastructure into a total system. So, remember, the Tron movie was released in 1982. And then in 2010, another Tron movie was released, also releasing all of this. They did all of this in the background, solidifying what they did in 1982. So they came out with another Tron movie, put it in our face and said, this is what we're doing. If you don't get it, that's your fault. It's almost like they got to tell us what we're doing, but they don't tell us flat out. They put it in code, in hidden codes. They are obsessed with the traditions of Ethiopians because everything Ethiopians did was like metaphor, hidden code. This is all in the book that they wrote called The Abyssinia and Its People. They talked about how the people operated in metaphors and codes, and they were superstitious and they were curious about these people. I'm gonna start letting people up in a minute. Let me finish. But they were curious about these people. So 2010, they released a second Tron movie, and what was going on in 2010 solidified what they did in 1982. They turned the infrastructure into a total system by 2010, and they let us know when they released Tron. Both of those years. Okay. Now, 2026. I'm gonna say 2025 because we ain't in 2026. This is the revealing of the truth. This is y'all. This is the revealing. The prophetic re-emergence of the house of Israel. This is what they feared. This is what COINTELPRO was trying to prevent, the rise of a black Messiah. Because that black Messiah was going to wake up the house of Israel. That's what they feared. That's why, if they didn't have a reason to take people out, this was their reason. This is why they was bombing these people's neighborhoods, because they feared a black Messiah rising. These are things that were written in the book about these people, that they knew that they believed in a Messiah. They believed in a Christ figure that will be walking the earth. The Bible is a vision written by some Ethiopian person about now. Somebody coming to save Ethiopia. And guess what? David will never lack a king on the throne. Ain't that what it say? They knew way back then. Y'all, I can totally understand, because I have dreams. And sometimes those dreams happen exactly how I see them. Like, not every dream is a dream that, like, you're going to see it in real life, like it's going to happen in real life. But sometimes it does. A lot of times it does. And surprisingly, I was surprised at the time, but now saying this, I'm not surprised. And knowing all of these things, and these people were very spiritual people. These were the first people that even talked about a God. Knowing what I know now, I understand. I have dreams. Sometimes those dreams happen exactly how I see them in dreams. Sometimes they happen like metaphors, symbols. It's filled with symbols and all that stuff. But I totally believe that somebody wrote these visions because they had a vision of something that was going to happen years later. Recently, I told my mom about a dream I had, right? It didn't happen until 2 years later. It didn't happen until 2 years later, but I wrote it down. And when she came back and told me what was going on, I was able to go back and look at what I wrote down, the date I wrote it, and exactly what the dream was about. So I am almost 100% certain that somebody way back, before we can even think about any, wrote a vision down about what was going to happen with the Ethiopian people and how their kingdom would be saved again. They would fall and they would rise. I think that's what happened. And these people got a hold of somebody's vision that was written down, and they twisted it. They used it as a weapon. And all of this, it makes sense. Receipts make sense. Timelines make sense. That shit we've been taught don't make sense. It don't make sense. And when you can make sense, you can make change. So guess what we doing? Because we got plenty of sense. We making change, and we showing up every day. No matter how much y'all mock us, we showing up and we making change, because we the only ones got damn sense. So 2026, I'm gonna say 2025, the prophetic reemergence of the house of Israel. Being the change you want to see. Yep. Be the change you want to see. You can't tell nobody to change, and you ain't making no changes. Azim Bedrez. Feel good too. So, the prophetic reemergence of the house of Israel. Identity restoration. What we do every day, by restoring identity by telling you the truth of who you are. You don't got to accept it. You don't got to believe it. We're telling you the truth. Lineage awakening. They feared a Black Messiah because they knew that a Black Messiah would wake up the lineage. This is what the COINTELPRO, this is why they weaponized the FBI to watch Black people. This is why. Y'all want to say, oh, this Black people so important. Why I think they watching y'all? We are the reason for the season. It is what it is. We are the reason for the season. Exposure of colonial and biblical manipulation. What we do every day, we show up and we expose it. We expose it. We keep telling y'all over and over and over and over and over and over and over that the biblical stories are not about something in the past. We keep telling y'all that they took the story and twisted it for your demise so that you wouldn't wake up. The world has been given over to a strong delusion. A strong delusion. What y'all think the strong delusion is? They took these people's beliefs and made them a weapon so that whenever this prophetic vision, whenever it comes true, and probably they were saying, if this ever come true, when it comes true, or if it ever comes true, we're going to do everything in our possibility to stop it. This is exactly what they did, y'all. They found these people. They saw them as weak until they started invading their territory. And y'all know what? That describes a lot of people that are just kind people. They take their weakness for kindness. They take their kindness for weakness. I'm sorry. They take their kindness for weakness. It's like we the butt of all jokes or something. Y'all take people kindness for weakness. People that believe in God, people that just want to be righteous, people that just want to do the right thing, treat other people how they want to be treated. Y'all take that as a weakness. Until you invade the person's peace, and then you see they're not to be played with. This is exactly what happened. They invaded Ethiopia more than once. Ethiopia was the last standing biblical kingdom, remember? What did they show us growing up? They showed us Ethiopia on TV as weak. They showed these people with flies in their eyes and big stomachs like they had some type of, and what they really did was they went over there, they started this, they created a problem, and then they went over there and took pictures of what they created. And then they put it on our television to show us the poor, the needy. You don't ever want to go back there. Look at what it looked like. Look what these people are going through. You don't ever want to go out. You don't ever want to leave this beast system grid to go to Eden. Okay. So, like I said, the prophetic reemergence of House of Israel was about reclaiming spiritual sovereignty. This is, if y'all don't understand what this mission is about, I'm showing y'all. Identity restoration, lineage waking up, exposure of colonial biblical manipulation, reclaiming spiritual sovereignty, and global destabilization as the old structure loses its control. This is the point. This is the whole point. This is not about taking over, and this is just right. It's right. Right is right. You can't, and I was thinking, I was like, well, if they got this identity and they got this identity and they the Jewish, they the Israelites, you got these people over here claiming this, they claiming this, they claiming this. Everybody done claim everything that we was. So what do we claim? spiritual sovereignty. Because all of these things that they claim in all of these entities and instruments and names and IDs and da da da, da, it does not outrank the covenant, the origin of where all of this started. Spiritual sovereignty begins in the mind. They never could take that from them people, and they can't take it from us. But y'all can't be scared, because why? They use fear. They used fear then. They use fear now. They continue to use fear. And as long as you don't fear the system, well, what's going to happen if we get out of the grid? Oh my God. Are we going to have tissue and toilets? And are we going to have to live in the woods? If you think about it, just think about it. If you built it once, you can build it again. We're not going to go backwards in time. We're going to fix what's been broken and make everything better. That's heaven on earth is not about going backwards in time and starting over. Heaven on earth is fixing what's already here, making it righteous. Hell, we might have better tissue. I know we're going to have better food. Have y'all ever thought about it? That why America is one of the countries where they allow poison in the foods. The FDA allow poison in our foods. They make the same product for the Germans, but the ingredients are different. Have you ever wondered why? Everybody else here is just a casualty of war. That's it. Y'all just a casualty of this war that never ended. So this timeline shows a deliberate, documented pattern of dismantling Ethiopia's divine authority, replacing the House of Israel with a manufactured identity, extracting people, artifacts, and spiritual capital, constructing a Western jurisdiction over all nations. That happened in 1776. Transitioning into a digital dominion system in 1982, and now attempting to prevent the reawakening of the true house of Israel. They're trying to prevent it. They was trying to prevent it in 2020. What you think they was doing? What you think they was doing? This establishes historical continuity, motive, method, and ongoing harm. Because guess what? We still here. We still here. In 2025, we still here suffering from these instruments that they used. I think this explains why corporate lawyers are the highest paid, because they represent the worst criminals. I don't say the worst criminals, because I don't want to say the worst criminals, because it's a lot of stuff that happens to people that's horrible. But I'll just say the biggest criminals. Just look it up. Just look it up. And I'm almost positive that they probably do commit the worst crimes, because a lot of corporate contracts and instruments has caused a lot of genocide. It was the instrument of a lot of genocide. So yeah, they're the biggest criminals. The worst. Graham Rice says, peace, peace. Now let's just recap on this timeline. 1776, global restructuring begins. 1862, Beta Israel cries out for help. 1868, Ethiopia is attacked. Their structure collapsed. This was the siege of Magdala when Emperor Tewodros was on the throne of David. Throne of David. We're going to drill that in y'all head that the throne of David is actually real, and it's in Ethiopia, where it just so happens to be the place where Beta Israel came from. And it just so happened to be the place where the people call themselves the House of Israel. And it just so happened to be the origin of all of this. So, 1913, world powers carved up the Middle East. 1948, the modern state of Israel is created by Europe and the UN and the United States. 2010, Ethiopia is still fighting for recognition as Jews. 2025 to 26, awakening of identity worldwide. Now, it's been happening way before 2025. It's been going on, but that's just like, kind of sum it up. So, I hope y'all see the cycle. Do y'all see? Are y'all connecting the dots? Are y'all getting this? Because every prophetic attempt to reconnect this has been blocked. This is the why they weaponized the FBI. This was the whole purpose of COINTELPRO. This is what they wanted to stop. This is why they wanted to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. Because a Black Messiah was going to wake up the right people to do this. Let the world know that they have been put under a strong delusion. And now is the time, because why? This is the generation of Emmanuel. God is with us. So we can do it. We can make this happen. God is with us. And now we have the timeline. We have the events. Only thing you need for a criminal case is the timeline and events. Why did this predator go after its prey? What did they have to gain? What did they gain? What happened? We have it all now. Now all we need is you revolutionary lawyers to come forward. Bring your gifts to the table. Y'all go back and read that Bible. And make sure you read it this time with open eyes. And I ain't talking about the eyes that you see with. I'm talking about your spiritual eyes. Make sure you reading it with open eyes. Because what you see on that paper is not what it means. That's not what it means. We were supposed, y'all, these people got this stuff after they found Ethiopia. Ethiopian people are Beta Israel. They are the first to practice Christianity. And they were the last kingdom. They were the last biblical kingdom standing against European powers that was trying to weaponize Christianity. And that's what they did. And now we're here today in 2025, and people are still getting up early in the morning, getting on TikTok, opening their Bible, interpreting the book when the book clearly states, lean not on your own understanding. Why are you even? The book was never meant for us to be reading it. And now I understand that most of us don't understand that the book is being used as a tool to inspire you to change to a better person. But that's not what the book was made for. It is to be fulfilled. These are the things that you're supposed to look at and see and say, oh, we might be living in that time. That's why the book says, when will we know? Oh, you'll know because the world will be just like the days of Noah. How do you know about the days of Noah? You got the damn book. But what did you do when you read about the days of Noah? You thought Noah really existed. You thought the flood was really real. You thought the whole world flooded for real. Instead of reading the book and looking at the book as your example of what not to do, or looking at the book and reading it for what you're supposed to be looking for when the time came for you to stand up. Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be bringing our gifts and our talents and everything that we've picked up in this grid and using it as a way out of the freaking grid. Watch the fucking movie, because that's exactly what they did. See, the enemy is crafty, and the enemy tells us what they're doing right in our face. But the enemy is also stupid, because everything that the enemy puts in our face and every instrument that they use can be used against them in a court of law for crimes against humanity. Have y'all ever seen that show about the stupidest criminal? They left a paper trail. So yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yep. They are obsessed with this story, y'all. They are obsessed with the crimes they committed. They are obsessed. And get this, by the time when the movie came out in 2010, the movie that came out in 2010, the Tron movie, is about the creator of the game went into the game in the first movie. He got trapped in there. In the second movie, his son went into the game. So they was telling us, we got y'all ancestors, and then we're gonna get the descendants of the ancestors in the game. So that's when they said, oh, now we're gonna put your children in the game. And in plain sight. These movies are not just movies. And I've done several videos on several movies just like this. It's just like this. These are not conspiracies. This shit just hasn't been proven yet. Until now. Until now. And this is why they were trying to stop the rise of a Black Messiah, because they knew that he would connect to the people that he was supposed to connect to, and all of them would wake up and they would not have no fear. You know why? Because they done been through a lot of shit. The mockery, the teasing, and all of that shit don't bother us, because most of us were probably teased in school. Most of us were probably black sheets of the family. Most of us were probably trauma victims. Most of us have probably been through a lot of shit in this grid system. So by the time we woke up, by the time our parents that have been through a lot of shit had children, been through a lot of shit, by the time the Black Messiah actually rose, he was going to connect to people that didn't fear shit. Oh God. For real. They didn't fear shame. Because they use that against us too. Shame is a weapon. Fear is a weapon. When you shame, somebody can use that against you and get you to do anything that you want them to do. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. If I did it, I did it. I'm not ashamed. I'm damn sure not gonna let nobody use nothing that I have done in my past to get me to do something that I don't want to do. Shame is a weapon and fear is a weapon. They use shame and fear together. Most of you do not want to say that the whole religion and the Bible stories that you've been taught and the way you've been taught, you don't want to say that it's bullcrap, because you shame and you scared to go against the world. You shame and you scared to go against your community. But guess what? I ain't ashamed to go against my community. It's not real. This is real. This right here, what I'm telling you, this is real. This is how they did it, and this is why they did it. This is why you are believing in someone that is never going to come and save you. They don't want you to look straight ahead. They want you looking up, because guess what? When you're looking up, you can run into shit and hurt yourself. And don't let that go over your head. Just bumping it. Everybody just bumping into each other. Y'all, that's all y'all doing. Bumping into each other, bumping heads all day on damn TikTok. Or fighting and arguing over the Bible. Because y'all looking up. That's why you be bumping into each other head. If you look straight ahead, you can see what's coming. You can see right in front of you with your eyes who's standing in front of you. If you look straight ahead, it's your brother. You fighting with your brothers and your sisters. They look just like you. And what y'all arguing about? The Bible. You're arguing about the Bible. The very thing that they put in our face to divide us. And that's what we're doing, and that's what we keep doing. I hope y'all wake up after today. I really do. All of this, y'all, was from me watching that Tron movie, and I had already put out a couple of videos about the Papa Bulls and all of that stuff. But all of this was just connecting because I watched this movie and I said, this is not coincidental. So I went digging to find out what the hell was really going on. And then I said, okay, they came out with a movie in 1982. What the hell was going on in 1982? I found out. Then I was like, okay. And then I really went digging because nothing is coincidental. Nothing. Nothing is coincidental. All of this just from watching this movie right here. So let's see what does this movie represent? The Tron movie represents entering a coded system, waking up inside a digital prison, realizing the world is a software, breaking out through light. What is light? Christ is the light, right? He's the truth, the way, and the light. Why is he the light? Because he's the one that's going to give you information to help your ass see. You're in darkness. So he's the light to bring you out of darkness. He's the understanding, the light bulb going off in the brain. Y'all get it? Ooh, please. Andrew, we are people that listen to music that's like this all day long, and I can't have a conversation with my brother like this, but you can listen to a song and pick up on the metaphors and the slang and all of that. But me having a conversation with you and me telling you I'm walking on water, you don't understand. How? Because you're in a strong delusion. You don't want to understand. You are in the game and I'm not in the game. So our language is like, all you hear is because you still in the game. You don't want to understand. So what was that? This connects to the lighthouse and the goose kingdom. Because why? We the light. Be mad all you want to. We the light. It is what it is. You know why? Because we know how to accept the truth, pick up our cross and carry it, and do what we're supposed to do without fear and shame. Guidance, awakening, truth, seeing beyond the system. That's what this mission represents. That's what the lighthouse represents. The Nagus kingdom is reclaiming its identity after being digitally overwritten by empire. Remember I said empire means white, because when they say empire, they're not including African empires. And if you didn't know, Africa did have empire. They want to make you seem like they was coming over there saving poor people. No, they was coming over there robbing rich people. This was a campaign. They had elephants. They were robbing people. They left with gold. And guess what the gold did? Backed their dollar. So the truth in one sentence, can I put it in one sentence? I doubt it. African people did not just get captured. They walked into Europe's global system believing they were going into their spiritual brother's arms, not knowing that the Papabuls had already replaced their identity, their land, and their inheritance in the world's eyes. They had already, everybody else was already looking to other people and saying that they took their identity by. But the truth is, Jerusalem was always inside them. Ethiopia was always the heart, and Africa was always Zion. And I don't care what you say, go cry to your mama. All of this shit was about Ethiopia. Now, that was all I had. That was all my notes. I hope that shit connected. I really do, because now y'all know the real timeline. So I'm gonna accept some guests. Since you want to come up, I don't know if you want to come up. For real, girl, I'm like, come on, y'all. Come on. The dots just connected. Like, you cannot, these are facts. These are facts. I gave you the papables. That was the beginning. That was how they did it. Now, mind you, before they did these whole papables, they had already laid eyes on Ethiopia. They had all, and before they did the papables, people were already practicing Christianity from Africa, and they were venturing out all over the world. This is why you got people arguing, talking about we were the first, and they were called Indians and Ethiopians. They were called Israelites. They were called the House of Israel. They were called Beta Israel. They all their names. They were called Moors, Israelites, Hebrews, Ethiopians, House of Israel. What was the other one? I forgot, but I named them all, so y'all heard me. Facts on facts on facts on facts. So all y'all arguing amongst each other, look your brother in the face, because that is your brother from another mother. Okay? Moors, Hebrews, Hebrew Israelites, House of Israel, Beta Israel, Ethiopians, they are all the same people scattered all over the world. If you want to put it in one word, we are Negus. 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 They took our belief systems and turned it into a weapon. They took Negus, Negus, and turned it into a weapon. Something that to make us shame. There goes that word again. Shame. Niggas is not a bad thing. Niggas means king. It comes from Ethiopia. If y'all want to come up, I'm accepting guests. I'm finished with the presentation. So go and do your homework. Look up what was going on and connect that shit to Ethiopia, connect it to Africa from 1776 up until today. Up until right now, today, they still playing with our minds. They still playing with us. This just released in 2025, y'all. We are niggas. They want us to believe that everything started with slavery. What was going on before that? We just fall out the sky as slaves? What was happening before that? This is what my mind as a child, these are the things that I would think, like, well, what were we before that? Like, I know we didn't just come out the womb as slaves. Everybody, all black people. From then, from the point where they saw that we went against each other, family, Jacob. This is literally Jacob. From the moment in 1776 when they saw that they had a way in because we were fighting amongst each other about belief. Oh, y'all, and still today we still fighting about belief. Oh no. I don't know. I want to let this person up, but you ain't got no picture, and I don't want you to take over my live. Okay. Truth in the booth. I'm gonna let you up because I don't know if you're asking to come up or not, but I'm gonna just go ahead and sit. Peace, sis.
Peace and love, sis. Peace and love, family. Look, I ain't got nothing. I just came across your look. I'm tapping the screen thinking it's a video.
Oh yeah, because I did. I just took a screenshot. Excuse me. I got a little cold. Okay.
Please, whenever you get time, if you don't know to a tweet, I just love when you do Terminator Judgment Day.
Okay.
I just watched it the other day again. It's like seeing it for the first time. It is. Oh, you ain't never seen it, or you ain't seen it in a long time.
I ain't seen it in a long time.
Please, that's the one.
So I gotta watch it with new eyes. No, I gotta watch it with open eyes.
It's so watching these movies, listening to songs.
Everything.
Different. It's completely different. They got the scene in the movie. I ain't gonna say too much, but they got the scene in the movie where they are looking for John Connor. Now we know, yeah. So JC, Jesus Christ. Okay. It goes in line with the Matrix. Now the woman that made the Matrix and Terminator series is all about Christ in the future. But this Judgment Day one, this is a good one. They got the man being born the same time that you was born. It's so telling as to what they knew was going to happen. But they knew it was going to be a generation that Christ was going to be risen up from. So these movies. What's this one called behind you that you?
Tron.
I used to come across Tron, the first Tron, the old one, but I'm not a huge sci-fi person, so I couldn't really get into it. But the way that you broke it down, it makes all
Perfect
the sense
sense.
in the world. Perfect, like that puzzle piece. But again, it's what they do with the Hollywood movies. And I want to say before I get down, people need to realize is that God gives these gifts of creativity. And so now that their kingdom is coming to an end, all of the creativity has gone out the window. Now they can't make these movies the way they used to because it would expose them.
Mhm.
People are waking up. What you're doing is waking the people up in terms of what they see in the media, what they see in these Hollywood movies. Creativity is being put back into the hands of those that God is using at this time to bring the people the truth, to shed light on the truth. So this is great. I stopped in and I said, you know what, let me check this out real quick. I said, oh, she got to do another one. We got to keep this going because a lot of people are not into reading the Bible. A lot of people can only understand certain things through the imagery.
Right.
This is really good. But that's all I wanted to say. Peace and love. I gotta go, but yes, keep doing your thing.
All right. Peace and love, sis. Thanks for coming up.
Peace and love.
Let's talk about it, y'all. Don't be scared to come up. Any other time I go live, y'all be coming up here arguing. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm with it today. Any other time I don't be with it. But I'm with it. Let's go. Come up with your questions. And don't take that as no rah because I'm not here to fight. At the end of the day, I'm here so that you can understand what I understand, so that you can see things clear. Open your eyes, your spiritual eyes, so that you can see things clear. I'm not here to battle nobody. That was a joke, okay? But come up with that same energy though. Peace, bro. Yeah.
This was so refreshing on my little walk and come across your live. You know, I didn't want to be on live. I just want to tell you, great job. And I think this might be the basis for the curriculum.
And it ain't coincidental.
So,
well, I am the bridge, remember? Oh my God. It feels good.
Lose the delusion so they can see how good the truth actually feels.
For real. It's cold as ice. Peace. I got you. I got you. But yeah, it's exciting, y'all. Great time to be alive. My grandmother didn't go to church, but I never understood why. I kind of understand why now. She never went to church, but she believed in God. My grandfather was a deacon in the church. Man, if my grandpa was alive right now, he would be so proud. I ain't even gonna lie. He would be really proud of me. And I ain't gonna get emotional, but anyway, I looked up his people and that side of my family because I knew more about the background, like where they came from, where they started, what they were doing, because they had a paper trail. And that's how I found out, that there's a very high percentage chance that they were from that Ethiopian trade, you know. And that's only because I know that my people were in South Carolina or North Carolina. So yeah, I was able to use ChatGPT. I put all the information in about my family. If you have ChatGPT, you can use it too. I used the free version. I was not paying for it. I put all the information that I knew about my family, and I said, is there any way that I can trace my family to one of the slave trades or whatever? And it said, yeah, because they had a paper trail. Now, can they tell me who I was related to exactly? Probably not, because like I said, they were trading people as product. So the only paper trail that they're going to use is like shipping ledgers, or, we sold a girl, we sold a boy. But because I know that they came from South Carolina and North Carolina, they were able to tell me that, ChatGPT was able to tell me that, these were the routes being used, and this is where the people came from, that they came from these particular routes. They ended up here, they migrated here, and the type of work that they did when they migrated. And it was like connected, dotting the I's and crossing T's. It pointed out the exact place my people came from. It pointed out the exact trade that they did when they migrated to Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas. Look, it told me. So I was very interested in this timeline and figuring this out. And so I went down the rabbit hole and came back. with the world's best timeline, with the keys to the city. Okay? I came back with the keys to the city. This is the timeline, y'all. This is the crime. This is the crime. This is how they did it. This is why they did it. We know why they created Israel. We know why they had them people going over there. We know why they using Operation Moses and all these biblical names for their operations. And now in 2025, going into 26, guess what the operation name is? Operation Genesis. Or is it called just Genesis? They're obsessed with the Bible and the people of the Bible. I was looking at this, the scripture. Let me see. Let me get it. If I didn't close it already. So the phrase "David will never lack a man on the throne" comes from biblical promises. Jeremiah 33:17, 2 Chronicles 6:16, 2 Samuel 7:16, assuring an unbroken line of David's descendants would rule Israel. Yeah, I got to be kidding me. So the Messiah will rule Israel, who establishes an eternal kingdom, fulfilling this David covenant. It's a prophecy. So for all of you guys that are reading the Bible thinking it's a prophecy, it happened 2,000 years ago. Prophecy means something that will happen, not something that already happened. We have been dumbed down, I think. We're not even using our brain anymore. Prophecy literally means something that you see now, a vision, a dream, a thought that has not happened yet. and you're prophesying about it by telling people, hey, I saw something. It's going to happen one day. How did y'all come up with the idea that it already happened? I have no idea how did we get there? And if David, half of the people, I'm almost 100% sure that nobody from the small town that I came from even know that there is actually a David's throne in real life. I'm almost 100% sure. I grew up in a small town. I'm almost positive. If y'all do, y'all gonna have to inbox me and tell me that you already knew that. Because I don't think nobody from my town that I grew up in knew that the throne of David actually exists in Ethiopia. And then we have a Bible scripture saying that David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel. That's the ESV version. That is Jeremiah 33, verse 17. And I have now revealed to you in 2025 via CIA documents that have recently been released that Beta Israel is Ethiopian. We have nothing to fight about anymore. We can get the business now. I know this is not for everybody. I know that everybody is not going to understand. But the ones that this is for, we got work to do and we're waiting on y'all. We are diligently working behind the scenes, but we're waiting on key players that got shit to do. So we're going to keep showing up and we're going to keep telling y'all, and we're going to keep asking you guys, we're going to keep drilling it in your head that we've been lied to. And there's a very large portion of the world that has been given over to a strong delusion. And if you're under a strong delusion, the last thing you're going to know is that you're under a strong delusion. Okay. I think that was it. Well, that was all that I had. I wanted to give y'all the details of that timeline of events, the facts about who's who, why certain people are covered up, why certain people are mistreated, why certain people have been attacked. And it ain't been that long ago since the last bombing of a black neighborhood. They just bombed a Philadelphia neighborhood recently. Matter of fact, let me go get it because y'all might think I'm lying. Let me go get the information. It was in 1985, actually. 1985. The largely forgotten history of Philadelphia's police. May 17, 2025, this was written. May 1985, the city's police department dropped an improvised bomb on a residential home that housed the Black Revolutionary Organization MOVE. This was in 1985. I sound like my grandma. This was in 1985. The aftermath of the 1985 MOVE bombing. MOVE was the name of the Black organization, y'all. So the MOVE bombing included the deaths of 11 people, 5 of whom were children, and the destruction of 61 homes, leaving 250 people homeless. I wonder if it's any time in his story where they actually bombed a Caucasian neighborhood. Did I say that right? Caucasian neighborhood. I just found out California was an island and it was owned by black women. I just found that out yesterday. Nothing that we have been taught, y'all. We have been taught a bunch of lies. Like I said, world history is a world created. It was built off of his stories. The stories that they tell, the lies that they tell. They built the world based off of all the lies that they created. So the long-term consequences of this move bombing was attempts to rebuild the Osage Avenue neighborhood were plagued by corruption, shady materials, misuse of funds, leaving the area with a mix of new homes and vacant homes, boarded up homes for decades. That looked like the old neighborhood I grew up in. Maybe that's why they call it the hood. In recent years, the city has initiated new efforts to develop the site with plans to renovate homes and sell them at an affordable price point. And now y'all know why they wanted to stop the rise of a Black Messiah. Not a Black Messiah coming from the sky either. What Cat Williams told y'all? The liar know what they lied about. All right, so no guests. I'm going to end this live because I have some other things I need to do. So, I think I'm already live. I had it streaming on the other YouTube, on the Nagoose Kingdom page, but it cut off. So, if you missed the beginning of this live, it will be on the YouTube. I'll leave it up. But yeah, I don't go live often, but I think this one was needed. Do y'all homework from 1776 to 2025. Compare the rise of the British/US empire. The United States is a corporation owned by the British, so it was the rise of the British Empire owning the US. US is the corporation. This is the system. This is the beast system grid. And Babylon is a lot of people say United States is Babylon, but really, Babylon, you could be anywhere in Babylon mentally, because if you're spreading their narrative, then you are working for the Babylonian system. Yep, 1776. But that's also when Freemasonry was established to hide the secrets. Yes. Guess what? George Washington was the first president. He was British. And he was a Mason. We stay connecting shit. We stay connecting these dots for y'all. For real, I mean, like, we stay connecting these dots for y'all. We always showing up, telling y'all the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. One thing I know for sure, two things I know for certain. Right on we. I don't care how long it takes. And that's it. The truth shall prevail. That means right on we. Y'all know how we say in the hood, old people say, right on we. One thing for sure, right on we. The truth shall prevail. And we're going to keep showing up, telling y'all the truth. Make sure y'all go to the website, y'alljujudah.com. The Declaration is on there. The Royal Notice of Dominion is on there. If you want to be a part of this mission in the background only and you don't want to be on the stage, the least you could do is become a witness. You ain't gotta say, you ain't gotta tell nobody. You ain't gotta blow your trumpet. You ain't gotta do none of that. The blowing the trumpet and the people on the stage, they're gonna lead it. It's a whole lot of us in the background. Y'all just don't know it. It's a whole lot of witnesses that have already accepted the truth. Y'all just see us showing up online and speaking it, but it's a whole lot of us in the background. And you can go to the website. There's a link if you want to. Yeah, California was an island. You can go to the link on the website to get in contact with someone on the administration side. We waiting on y'all. Y'all waiting on God. God waiting on y'all. Y'all talk about y'all waiting on God to come. Y'all waiting on God to save you. No, God is waiting on you to stand up and save yourself. He giving you the tools. The truth is the tool. The only tool you need is the truth to wake up. And once you wake up, you already have the talents and the gifts because you already been playing the game. So you already know how to get out. Just use the talents and the gifts that you obtained in the game. So if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, if you're a teacher, if you're a architect, if you are a engineer, if you work land development, if you're a preacher, if you've been playing the game with these titles, you can use them titles for good. An accountant, if you are an accountant, come on, family, put the titles in the chat so we can call these people out. Bring your talents and your gifts that you have obtained while in the game, on the grid. Everything in this movie, y'all, they got like it's called a disc. And when they go into the grid system now when they get there, they don't even know it's a game. They don't know they're a part of a game, right? They go into this computer system and the disc that they're wearing records everything. Their whole life is on a disc. That's what they're trying to get us at. That's what they're trying to take us to in 2026 with this Genesis project. Contractors, bring your gifts and talents. I was finna get off, but I don't know who this is. I'm gonna bring you up because who are you trying to come back up? It say you requested. Let me know. Okay.
In the movie Escape Room.
Huh?
Escape Room.
Yeah. I watched all of them. And then I just thought about the whole Game of Thrones thing too.
Okay, so yeah, the Escape Room, I hear that in it, especially those that follow Christ, in it, and it's doors to the spirit. It's crazy, but the rules represent the mind.
Yep.
Okay.
Nah, you're not tripping. Because biblically and spiritually, the mind is a house, and what's in houses? Rooms.
This is trying to catch us. This is all of the word. And then every time we got out of the room, another room was set up. And it was like, you could see a monitor who's gonna make it out. those who are going to the end shall be saved.
Yep.
They're joining some of these groups that they're creating. Again, they're obsessed with category. But then, like you said earlier, when we're speaking these things, now people all of a sudden don't understand anything.
Right.
I had to come back up and say that because when you said game, I said, oh my God, I had a dream like this last night. And like we were trying to put it in it was wild. It was so wild. I just wanted to share that.
Okay.
Look at that.
All right, people. Farmers, nutritionalists, herbalists, engineers, architects, government employees. If you have a background in, I know people that's been a mayor. So if you got a background in that field, you've been a mayor before, you've been a governor before, you've been a secretary for the governor, you work for a judge, you've been a judge, all that. Bring your gifts and talents to the table of God, to God's table. And believe it or not, y'all, most of these people, all of these entities, well, I ain't gonna say entities, all of these jobs that I named, that people are playing characters. These are your character roles. These are the roles that you're playing in this game called life. It's a game. It's literally a game. Take those roles, those character roles, and all of the experience that you have obtained playing that role, take it and save yourself. They created a system. There's a way out. Follow the light. Christ is the truth. We telling the truth. He is the way. He's showing you the way. He is the light. All you got to do is follow the light. I'm going to peace out, y'all.